Hi, Mr. Professor Chad Sabadie, and welcome to the first official episode of what is going to become the Olympics Project podcast. How are you today?
Doing great, Cade. Good to be with you this afternoon. And we're super excited because we're less than a week away from takeoff and flying across the ocean to France and to starting our Olympic journey. And the countdown is on.
Yeah, as of recording, it is Tuesday afternoon, and we head out on Saturday. And there's a lot that we're doing even between now and then to prepare for the trip. And it's very exciting and anxious all at the same time. This first episode is just going to give people kind of like an inside perspective into what this project is. People might have heard things about it here and there, but I just wanted this to be kind of an official way that people could come in and like look at everything that we're doing like on an official level. So first off, I just wanted to like ask you, in your own eyes, what is the Olympics Project?
An opportunity of a lifetime
All right.
is really how I see it, because we're familiar with study abroad programs, and here at LSU, there's great annual experiences and different opportunities to learn in a different global fashion and environment. But the Summer Olympics, just
Yeah.
the unique aspect of it, only happening every 4 years,
Yeah.
right? In the iconic city of Paris, France. And couple that with the fact that Paris last hosted 100 years ago.
Yes.
Just the parallel there and all the connections. It really is just a unique opportunity of a lifetime to bring a student group, a very talented and very deserving student group of 24 students, 25 to be exact, mostly undergraduate students and a
Yes.
few graduate students as well, with our great grad students here at the LSU Manship School, to bring them to the Summer Olympics, to immerse themselves in that environment, to learn, to grow, to meet people, to connect, and to document it. And we're just so excited, Cade, about the work that y'all have already started to produce and will continue to churn out in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, I'm for one am very excited. There's so many emotions going into this and everything. And I've been getting to know a lot of the other students that are going because I personally actually didn't know that many. I was only like acquaintances with a few, and I like was only actually personal friends with only one or two. But it's been a joy to get to know and work with everybody leading up to this, and I can't wait to actually work in like an official capacity and with them whenever we get there.
What's really special about this group is, like I mentioned, it's a variety of undergrad and grad, but also just internal focuses and background. Yes, we have our traditional journalists, and whether it's your traditional print or broadcast or digital, but we have public relations majors, digital advertising, political communication. Everyone's coming from different walks of life and different future plans and backgrounds, but I think that's going to only help our group collaboration because everyone brings a different skill set to the table. And it's going to be really fun to watch the comprehensive showcasing, whether it be through websites, through some of the video productions, the audio productions. And it's great to have a very diverse group. We have Louisiana residents, we have out-of-state residents, just a very varied mixed group, which I think is only going to strengthen our project overall.
And that's a great point because also within that diverse group of like where everybody's from and their different areas, we have a bunch of different people representing different student medias. We're currently recording this at KLSU, and I'm the station manager here. But we also have people from the Reveille and Tiger TV and the Mag all going along on the trip. And so that's really exciting for me to be able to like get an opportunity to work with all of them. And on the note of that, this is an official KLSU production, this podcast that I'm going to be doing. So I wanted to ask you on that note, just it being KLSU, what music have you been listening to recently?
You know, it's too funny. After I got married years ago, I became a country music fan.
Okay.
But I would say this, my impressions and perspective of what country music was compared to what it is now, I believe it's vastly changed.
Yes.
It's more country pop, and the songs are catchy, and you'll find them on some of the top 40 pop stations these days. But I've always enjoyed a different mix of music. I mean, when I was younger, into the 90s, the alternative music scene, going to a lot of concerts here in South Louisiana, Baton Rouge, and the New Orleans area as well, and really some great rock concerts to hip-hop concerts, and it was a lot of fun. So I can appreciate all music because like sports in the Olympics, it brings us together.
Yes, exactly.
But it's one of the great aspects to examine this Summer Olympic Games, the fanfare, the music, the visuals, everything else that accompanies the great elite sporting events, but all the extras that we're equally excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. And LSU is like, known to be like one of the best places in like I was going to say the nation, but almost like the world of like bringing people together with sports and everything. You think about Death Valley and all of that, like everybody tailgating on game days and the electric atmosphere within like the stadium. How would you say that like something like Death Valley, like say an LSU versus Bama game, is going to compare to an Olympic atmosphere?
That is really interesting because my first thought is Tiger Stadium is this iconic venue. Not to call it the Eiffel Tower, but I mean, here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, it kind of is.
Yeah.
It's that landmark, right?
Absolutely.
That people grow up around in the shadows of, or they seek out. They seek out if you're coming from North Louisiana or regionally from Texas, from Mississippi. People come to Baton Rouge to see LSU, to see Mike the Tiger. It is that brand in itself. Obviously, Paris, France has all the history, and it goes back even longer than Baton Rouge does. But I'm interested to see these venues in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower. Of course, beach volleyball is right there. So I find that there are similar comparisons because we know in the sports world, people competition. They love the sense of camaraderie, whether you're cheering for with the group or against a certain group, the rivals of an LSU-Alabama matchup like you referenced. But this is on even a global, bigger stage, right?
Yes.
It's not just the regional rivalry. It's the sense of patriotism and representing your country. And for others, like the IOC Olympic refugee team, representing a group they've been able to pull together from different corners of the globe to form their own group with their own identity this year, which
that's
is
fantastic.
Also really exciting.
Yeah. I'm super looking forward to like keeping up with that team, but also just like I'm looking forward to the teams that we're going to get to see play. And I wanted to ask you a few questions about the events that we're going to go. Kind of like, what was the decision-making process? Because whenever we signed up for this trip, like way back in like October or something like that, we had a rough idea of what events we were going to see. But as of now, we are seeing, correct me if I'm wrong, it is the men's Colombian and French teams play football against each other, and then the women's USA teams versus France play.
Yeah, you're right. And it's going to be exciting, but let me kind of backtrack a little bit. So much credit to Dean Kim Bissell of the LSU Manship School. When she first came on board right about a year ago as the Dean of the Manship School, one of my first conversations with Dean Bissell was about the opportunities for our students. And we knew that we wanted to plan in the short term the Fall Sports Summit, which you were a part of, was fantastic. We had panel discussions with working Manship alums and sports media. We had academic researchers from all over the country come here to Baton Rouge to showcase their expertise and have great discussions. And we had a lot of visits to student media with these working professionals, and it was a lot of fun and workshops. But it was a kind of precursor of other great events to come, one of which was Dean Bissell's kind of idea, hey, wouldn't it be great to bring a group to the Summer Olympics? Yes, absolutely, it would be. And we know our students are talented and hardworking, and they deserve that type of unique opportunity. So the process started a year ago. Now, the challenge for getting credentialed to something like the Olympics, honestly, Cade, it starts years in advance, years in advance. So trying to troubleshoot what we could, the easiest point of entry for access was to acquire ticketed events to different Olympic events to get the group into for sure. We know that some of our group will get fully accredited through the Paris Media Center, which is going to be fantastic.
I'm currently in that process. I think I actually, a few hours ago, got verified for it. And I haven't really told anybody because I was working on other stuff, but I saw it in my email inbox. I was like, oh, cool, moving on.
But that puts you in the same group of elite media professionals from all over the world, which is just truly exciting. One of which is one of our own, Mr. Scott Rabelais, who's right here in Baton Rouge. She's actually currently in Dallas, Texas, covering SEC football media days. And I believe one of our students asked him, from Super Bowls to the Masters and all these great iconic American sports showcases, what's your dream trip? And he basically said, it's the Olympics. It's to cover the Olympics. So to go back to your original question, we're going to cover these events and to attend these events, and we are going to different football, soccer for the American soccer fans, to watch the French men's national team take on the U.S. men's national team, and to watch the French women's national team take on Colombia, and that's going to be truly exciting in two different venues, two different historic cities, starting in Marseille with the men's match, going to Lyon with the women's match, and then once we get to Paris, France, Some of our group will attend beach volleyball right there with the temporary beach volleyball court in the complex right there by the Eiffel Tower. Some will go to Roland Garros, the home of the French Open, for Olympic tennis, and I'm
Fantastic
sure
opportunities.
other students will try to get to where they can. I know we have basketball fans, and U.S. has such a great storied basketball tradition. The logistics, like other Olympic Games, everything's spread out. Not everything's in Paris itself. So that's going to be a little tricky, but
Yes.
I would recommend our group as safely as they can to navigate the region and to take in as much as possible.
And we were talking about this on one of our Zoom classes before this, but there's also going to be just events that are happening all around you, like cycling and like the marathons and stuff like that. Those will be going on, and you don't even necessarily would need to buy tickets for any of that. And also the swimmers in the Seine and everything.
No, it's going to be awesome. And I'm going through some notes because we assigned you all different ratings to give historical comparisons and significance. You know, what's the current complex or the current context and look and things like that. I appreciated learning about how way back when, even 100 years ago, it wasn't just the physical sports, it was more of the artistic competitions. And France's kind of tribute to that and having different things like this past spring, they had the celebrity waiter race where they had the waiters, the waiter run, and they're trying to go through the streets of Paris without spilling the water in the croissants.
Such a funny, fantastic idea. And I love whenever like people like do something like that, like in all like good fun to like match the like competitive nature of the Olympics and everything, and do like silly things that also reflect national identity like that.
Well, right, because I mean, just that cuisine, you know, that culture and the food and the drink over there in France, it's part of their identity.
It's real.
But also representing fashion, theater, dance as well, sculpture, architecture, knowing that these were once legitimate competitions with medals and everything.
Absolutely.
France is making it a point of emphasis to honor those past Olympic events as well.
Yeah, and I think that's something that France is doing. That's like France is doing so many things to prepare for the Olympics, as like all cities do. But I think that's so cool that they're like so much incorporating their national and cultural identity into the games and everything. Because I think that's something that the people of France can be very proud of once this is all said and done.
Sense of pride. I have it written down on my notepad, and it's funny because we read a lot of material about, yes, a lot of Parisians don't want to be, you know, influenced. They don't want to be, you know, nuisanced at all by the traffic and the change of metro and schedules. But also there is that sense of community, of pride, and showcasing these are our games.
Yeah.
And we're putting our cultural take on it, from the artistic director who's directing the opening ceremonies on the River Seine to the closing ceremonies to the visuals that we've been examining, the pictograms, but also just the visual banners and the different iconic landmarks and venues being woven into tapestries all over France and beyond. It really is special when you can see a community take that sense of pride. And here in America, you know, we grow up here in the South, for those from Louisiana, you know, football and baseball and basketball. But when you watch international sport and you watch how important it is to the people of England to watch their soccer team lose in the European final and how devastating that was, and just a day or two later, the manager resigns and says, like, I did what I could do. I can't handle that anymore. It's really fascinating how seriously and how much of an identity it is connected to that community.
It's intense in a way that I feel like is very different from how we experience intensity in sports here, because I feel like at LSU, if we were to lose a big game like that, you know, people get upset, and there's like usually a big like outcry and everything, and people leave the stadium like dismayed and everything. But it's different. I feel like, especially with soccer, football, whenever fans that are so intensely into like the teams that they've been following for their entire lives, because you see that stuff on social media about going through the streets whenever their teams win and everything, and it's like the whole city is celebrating. So I'm very, very excited to feel that kind of different intensity whenever we go, depending on like how teams do of the games that we see, and just like the different spirits that different people are in whenever we go.
And I think there's going to be a collective appreciation for all of these athletes, because similar to our student group, so diverse, different backgrounds, these great Olympic athletes, and there's more than 10,000 of them, but they come in all shapes and sizes. They come from different walks of life. When we go to the Olympic Museum with our student group in Lausanne, Switzerland, that's going to be a phenomenal, immersive experience. And there's an exhibit focusing on the Olympic athlete and the evolution. And you could be 5 foot, you could be almost 7 feet tall, you can be 100 pounds, you could be 300 pounds,
Yes.
and utilize different elements of physique and strength and fitness and speed along the way, because everyone's a little bit different and equally needs to be appreciated in this on this stage.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Just talking about it now, I'm getting like more and more excited. Like, ooh, the Olympic Museum is just like
It's phenomenal. I told our student group it's going to be one of the highlights of the trip. We were able to do a scouting trip last fall to kind of work through some logistics and student housing and check out different areas for safety and also just, logistical convenience. And that was one of our highlights, just spending a day there and meeting some of the people, and just the pride that they take in showcasing that environment is really special.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask about, so you've done several study abroads before.
This is my first time as a faculty member
Really?
for study abroad. I've been a part of several as a student, as a graduate student. Also spent a summer living in London, England, and I can appreciate these opportunities because I don't take them for granted, right? And I think even if you're fortunate to be a part of this trip, and trust me, Cade, we had a lot of applicants, a lot of talented students, but we were only able to take 25 well-deserving students. Don't take it for granted. Embrace the opportunity, not only for your professional career, but also your personal career and journey as well, and just personal growth and experiencing different cultures. Some of our students have studied abroad before. Some, this is their first time. For some, this is their first international flight.
It's my first time study abroad. I've traveled international before, but this is my first study abroad. Whenever I came to LSU, one of the first things I was told was like, you've got to study abroad. You've got to do this. And so I was looking for programs to do for this summer, and I came across the Manship Olympics project, and I was like, well, I'm not really the most sports guy, but let me throw my hat in the ring. I feel pretty qualified to be able to do this, and I'm so glad that I did, because this opportunity for me has been such a unique challenge to really like get myself locked into more sports areas, which is not my forte. I'm the head of a radio station. I'm more of like a music cultural person, but it's been so rewarding for me personally. Working on the projects that I'm working on, like this podcast and like the documentary that I'm also helping to produce with other students. Just learning all of that and like gaining so much cultural knowledge that I don't think I would have ever gotten if not offered this opportunity.
And it's great to hear you say that, because everyone brings a different perspective, right? A different skill set. And in my professional career in media of 20 years, working in sports media, but then transitioning to news media, one thing holds true. There's always a story out there.
Yeah.
There's always something unique. And every person you meet has some kind of compelling backstory and something that kind of sets them apart, whether it is the standout athlete, that elite level athlete, or the people behind the scenes. And the political folks trying to organize these games and the organizing committee, and now to execute it. And we've talked about the River Seine, and as much as that's being hyped up for some of the water and swimming events, it's like, what will they actually use it for in a safely fashion and timely fashion? So there's always someone out there that's worth meeting and greeting. And one of our students wants to focus on, how do the games impact the historical shops and the restaurants there, and are they looking forward to this influx of 10 million plus Olympic tourists and visitors as an iconic moment, as a snapshot in time, or is it that nuisance that some Parisians are talking about and wanting to leave town? But we're going to meet so many different people along the way through these Olympic events, and just being in the city and allowing yourself to take that in, to be somewhere else on this global stage, is just an opportunity that is going to be so rewarding in so many different aspects.
That you're so accurate in that, because I feel like there's something in this trip for anyone, any media professional, any student. They can look at like so many different aspects of cultural versus sports versus just like economic. There's like everything you could possibly want. Like if you're hungry, if you're a student that's hungry for like a good story to put on your resume or something like that, or your portfolio, this is like the best opportunity that could be offered to them. And on that note, I wanted to ask, what are some projects that you've heard some students talk about that maybe you're looking forward to?
Look, I could start with you right here, because we've talked about it. These Olympic venues, Cade, that you've been researching, when a country hosts these games, what's the aftermath of it? What's the economic impact? What's in terms of the infrastructure? Does it help? Does it hurt? We go back to Brazil, Rio de Janeiro in 2016, and it seems like they're still having a lot of challenges 8 years later. But then in Tokyo, new developments, new venues.
Yeah.
France, they're mostly using venues that were in place,
Yes.
but some temporary venues. And how does that impact the culture and society moving forward? So I'm really fascinated to see what you find out, what you discover, how you compare and contrast to these current games. Gender parity is a huge, important
Yes.
theme this year in terms of parity of athletes. Obviously, it's been over time dominated by male athletes, but now for the first time, we've kind of reached that balance where it's equal representation, which is really truly key in today's society, which is great to see. And just other things from the fashion and the emphasis on cultural items and identity and how the city will really represent itself. So the students have really brought forth and presented a varied approach to their student projects. I mean, some of the history of the games. Some were talking about the international conflicts as well, on the political forefront. Countries that aren't going to be represented based on current war involvement, or those who are coming from, in the sense of the refugee Olympic team from war-torn countries or other countries devastated by natural disaster.
And it's going to be very I think interesting to see how that stuff manifests in real life versus like you see it on the news, you read articles or something like that. But like seeing it firsthand and then being able to, us as students, as journalists also as well, be able to take those and report on those and apply our best standards, our like Manship standards of journalism to stuff like that is going to be very good for like all the students personally, but also just like Manship as a whole.
Absolutely. I mean, look, we'll be there for 2 weeks in different regions of France. There will be breaking news. There will be some big major headlines, whether it's from the sporting events themselves, crowd control. We talked about security, looking across the globe at different venues, and are they prepared for these massive crowds, and can they handle that? And will there be any incidents? We hope it's a very smooth games, and hopefully it's organized very well. We do know that transit and just getting around, logistics, it's going to be a challenge.
Yes.
So we're asking our student group to be very mindful, to be vigilant, to be aware of their surroundings at all times with so many people there, to not put themselves in a dangerous position, but also to exhibit that patience that's going to be needed to put yourself in that environment.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'm very excited for this trip. I know you are as well, and everyone that I've talked to is scrambling to get everything packed and put away right now, and like all of their stuff good and prepared before we leave. So I guess that's all for this episode, but we should have a lot more coming your way soon. You can follow us on Instagram at Manship Olympics to keep up with us, and we have a website soon. I think it's going to be manshipolympics.com, but if it's not, I will put it right here. That's all I've got.
Cade, I want to say thank you. I want to say y'all are doing a great job representing LSU and LSU Manship already. We look forward to the next few weeks, to the journey through different regions of France, to the Summer Olympic Games. It's going to be an opportunity of a lifetime, like I mentioned at the top. And shout out to y'all working on the social media and
The social media team's been doing
fantastic.
fantastic.
Fantastic job, and it's a great representative, and I'm excited. I'm excited for the audience to follow this journey along with all of our great students.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned for more episodes. And signing off, I'm Cade Williams, Professor Chad Sabadie. Thank you for watching.
Au revoir.